There are places on Earth so hostile that even the most advanced machines struggle to survive. In the late 1930s, Antarctica was still one of the last truly unexplored frontiers, a frozen wilderness where temperatures plunged far below zero. Violent blizzards appeared without warning, and endless fields of snow stretched beyond the horizon. To most people, crossing that landscape with a vehicle seemed almost impossible. But one American engineer believed it could be done. Instead of building another tractor or tracked machine, he imagined something far more ambitious, a self-contained mobile research station capable of carrying scientists, fuel, food, spare parts, and even an airplane across the Antarctic continent. The result became known as the Antarctic Snow Cruiser, one of the largest and most ambitious exploration vehicles ever built. It promised to revolutionize polar travel, yet its story would become one of the greatest engineering paradoxes of the 20th century, proving that brilliant ideas don't always survive first contact with reality. The man behind this extraordinary project was Dr. Thomas Charles Poulter, a physicist, inventor, and veteran of Admiral Richard Byrd's earlier Antarctic expeditions. Poulter had experienced Antarctica firsthand and understood better than almost anyone how dangerous the continent could be. During one expedition, he even helped rescue Byrd after the explorer suffered carbon monoxide poisoning at an isolated weather station. That experience convinced Poulter that future expeditions needed far better transportation than slow tractors pulling sledges. His vision was astonishingly bold. Instead of multiple vehicles working together, he proposed building one enormous machine capable of serving as transportation, laboratory, workshop, living quarters, and supply depot all at once. The crew would no longer depend on fixed bases because the base itself would travel with them. It sounded like science fiction in 1939, but the United States Antarctic Service believed the idea deserved a chance, and construction began almost immediately. Perhaps the most unbelievable part of the Snow Cruiser's story is how quickly it came together. Designed and built in Chicago in just 11 weeks, the giant machine measured nearly 56 feet long, almost 20 feet wide, and weighed approximately 75,000 pounds fully equipped. Despite its enormous size, the body was remarkably streamlined, featuring smooth, curved aluminum panels inspired by aircraft rather than conventional trucks. The suspension allowed each wheel to move independently while also raising or lowering the entire vehicle between roughly 12 and 16 feet, enabling it to cross deep snow drifts and even climb over wide crevasses by extending the wheels individually. Engineers designed every detail with Antarctica in mind, from insulated walls to heated mechanical systems that would continue operating in extreme temperatures. Looking at period photographs today, it's difficult to believe this futuristic machine rolled onto American highways before the United States had even entered World War II. Hidden beneath that streamlined body was one of the most advanced drivetrains of its era. Instead of using a conventional gearbox and drive shafts, the Snow Cruiser relied on a diesel-electric transmission, a concept still common today in giant mining trucks and locomotives. Two Cummins H6 six-cylinder diesel engines, each producing approximately 150 horsepower, powered General Electric generators rather than the wheels directly. Electricity from those generators was sent to 4 individual electric traction motors, one inside each massive wheel, allowing exceptionally precise control and eliminating much of the complicated mechanical drivetrain. The vehicle carried an astonishing 2,500 gallons of diesel fuel, enough for a planned operating range approaching 8,000 miles without refueling. Engineers estimated a maximum road speed of around 30 miles per hour, while Antarctic cruising speed was expected to reach approximately 20 miles per hour. Fuel consumption averaged roughly 0.8 miles per gallon, enormous by automotive standards, but remarkably efficient for a fully equipped 75,000-pound mobile base. The interior revealed just how ambitious the project truly was. This wasn't merely a vehicle. It was a fully functioning scientific station on wheels. 5 expedition members could live inside comfortably for months thanks to sleeping quarters, a fully equipped kitchen, laboratory space, a machine shop, heating systems, electrical generators, fresh water storage, and enough food to support the crew for nearly an entire year. Even more extraordinary, the roof carried a Beechcraft Model 17 stagger-wing aircraft. This wasn't simply cargo or an emergency escape vehicle. The airplane played a vital role in the expedition, allowing scientists to conduct aerial reconnaissance, locate safe routes through the ice, identify dangerous crevasses, and map regions that would have taken weeks to explore from the ground. A specially designed ramp allowed the aircraft to be lowered from the roof before takeoff and later returned to its elevated storage position. No exploration vehicle before or since had attempted to combine a long-range ground vehicle and an aircraft into one integrated mobile exploration platform. The Snow Cruiser became a national sensation long before it ever reached Antarctica. After leaving the factory in Chicago, the enormous vehicle had to travel nearly 1,000 miles to the port of Boston, where it would be loaded aboard the expedition ship North Star. Newspapers followed the journey almost daily, while thousands of curious spectators gathered along highways just to witness the gigantic machine rolling past. Despite its futuristic appearance, the trip wasn't without problems. During one downhill section, the cruiser slid off the road and ended up in a small creek after the driver struggled to stop its tremendous weight. Fortunately, the damage proved minor, and after repairs, the vehicle continued toward Boston under its own power. To the public, the successful journey seemed like proof that the world's most advanced exploration vehicle was ready for Antarctica. Engineers were equally optimistic, convinced that years of planning and thousands of hours of design work had prepared the Snow Cruiser for whatever the frozen continent could throw at it. Unfortunately, Antarctica had other plans. Shortly after arriving at Little America, in early 1940, the Snow Cruiser rolled onto the snow for the first serious field test. Within minutes, it became painfully clear that something was terribly wrong. The enormous 10-foot Goodyear tires, carefully engineered to spread the vehicle's immense weight over soft snow, had almost completely smooth tread. Engineers believed this design would allow the tires to float across loose snow without digging in, much like oversized sand tires. Instead, the wheels simply spun on the hard, wind-packed Antarctic surface, generating almost no traction at all. Crews tried lowering tire pressure, fitting chains, placing spare tires beneath the drive wheels, and experimenting with different driving techniques, but the massive vehicle barely moved. Then someone discovered an almost unbelievable fact. The Snow Cruiser actually gained slightly better traction when driven in reverse, because the weight shifted differently across the chassis. Even then, progress remained painfully slow. One of the most sophisticated exploration vehicles ever built had been defeated by the one variable its designers had underestimated: the snow itself. Although the Snow Cruiser failed as a long-distance exploration vehicle, it wasn't entirely useless. Rather than abandoning the machine, the expedition transformed it into a stationary research station and living quarters. Its powerful heating system kept the crew warm despite brutal Antarctic temperatures. The onboard electrical generators supplied reliable power, and the spacious laboratory allowed scientists to continue meteorological, geological, and atmospheric research throughout the expedition. In many respects, the interior worked exactly as intended. The crew enjoyed comforts rarely experienced during polar exploration, including proper sleeping accommodations, cooking facilities, and enough workshop equipment to repair scientific instruments on site. When the United States Antarctic Service expedition ended in 1941, the enormous vehicle was simply too valuable to destroy and too impractical to bring home. It was carefully parked, secured, and left behind beneath the Antarctic sky, where drifting snow gradually swallowed the futuristic machine until it disappeared almost completely beneath the frozen surface. For nearly 2 decades, the Snow Cruiser became little more than an incredible legend. Many assumed it had been crushed by shifting ice or buried forever beneath countless feet of snow. Then, during the International Geophysical Year in 1958, another American expedition made an astonishing discovery. Probing beneath the snow, researchers located the long-lost vehicle almost exactly where it had been abandoned. After digging down to the entrance, they climbed inside and found an astonishing sight. Much of the interior remained remarkably well preserved, despite 18 years trapped in one of Earth's harshest environments. Tools, equipment, supplies, and even personal belongings still rested where the original crew had left them. It was like stepping into a perfectly preserved time capsule from 1940. Sadly, that would become the Snow Cruiser's final confirmed appearance. Sometime afterward, the section of the Ross ice shelf where it rested gradually drifted toward the sea. Most historians believe the vehicle either sank with a massive iceberg after it broke away from the shelf, or remains entombed beneath hundreds of feet of Antarctic ice, waiting for a future expedition to rediscover it once again. Today, the Antarctic Snow Cruiser is remembered not as a failure, but as one of the boldest engineering experiments ever attempted. Its diesel-electric drivetrain anticipated technology now used in giant mining trucks and heavy industrial equipment. Its self-contained living quarters inspired later generations of long-range expedition vehicles, while the concept of combining transportation, scientific laboratories, workshops, and aircraft support into a single mobile platform remains astonishing even by modern standards. The cruiser ultimately proved that brilliant engineering alone cannot overcome nature if one critical detail is overlooked. Yet without ambitious projects like this, technology never moves forward. Sometimes, history's greatest achievements are built upon the lessons learned from its most spectacular failures. Nearly 90 years later, the Antarctic Snow Cruiser still captures our imagination because it dared to attempt what nobody else believed possible. And if you enjoy discovering extraordinary machines, forgotten engineering masterpieces, and unbelievable stories from automotive and transportation history, don't forget to subscribe to On Wheels. There are still countless incredible vehicles waiting to be uncovered, and some of the greatest adventures ever built are the ones history almost forgot.